Let me tell you about a man I met just last week because his experience captures exactly what is changing about travel right now. Let's call him Mr. Abernathy. He was polished, calm, and confident in that quiet way seasoned travelers have. Navy blazer, neatly packed carry-on, boarding pass already pulled up. He stood in the boarding area at Dallas Fort Worth the same way he had for decades. His ticket said Group 5, but the Group 3 lane was open and empty. Years ago, he would have stepped forward, smiled, maybe shared a harmless joke, and a human agent would have waved him through without a second thought. That was the unspoken understanding of travel back then. Courtesy mattered, judgment mattered, humanity mattered. But this wasn't 2015 or even 2020. This was 2026. Mr. Abernathy walked forward and found no smiling agent at all. Just a glass barrier and a glowing scanner, the new smart gate systems that are spreading across major airports. He scanned his boarding pass and immediately heard a sharp, buzzing alarm, loud enough to cut through the terminal noise. The glass flashed red and a recorded voice announced, "Invalid group, please step aside." Conversations stopped. Heads turned. The young agent nearby didn't even look up from her screen. She simply pointed toward the back of the economy line. Mr. Abernathy's face flushed as he dragged his bag past rows of strangers. But that wasn't the end of it. When his group finally boarded 20 minutes later, the overhead bins were full. His carry-on was taken at the gate. His blood pressure medication was inside, buried beneath clothes. It went into the cargo hold, and he spent the next 4 hours worrying instead of resting. I'm telling you this because the era of flexibility is over. The era of kind exceptions is fading fast. We have entered the age of the algorithm. The system does not care how polite you are or how long you've been flying. It doesn't care if your knees hurt or if you're only a few minutes early. If you travel today using habits from 10 years ago, the machine will stop you, embarrass you, and charge you for the privilege. If we haven't met before, hello, I'm Mila. For 15 years, I've been your flight attendant, your calm voice in turbulence, your helper in the aisle. I've watched this industry transform from a service built on people into a system built on surveillance and speed. And right now, my older passengers are paying the highest price for not knowing the new rules. Airlines profit when you make mistakes. My job today is to make sure you don't. I see the confusion every day. I see travelers waiting patiently for a human who is no longer allowed to help them, standing in the wrong place because that's how it used to work, paying fees they never expected because no one explained the new systems. Airlines are counting on you being stuck in the past. They know the rules changed quietly, buried in updates and fine print. My mission is to update your internal software so you can move through airports with confidence instead of anxiety. To do that, we have to start with the biggest change of all, your face. You've probably noticed the cameras popping up over the last few years, but in 2026, this is no longer a trial run. At major hubs like Atlanta, Los Angeles, Heathrow, and Toronto, biometric boarding is now the default. Paper boarding passes are becoming decorative souvenirs. Airlines want your face to be your ticket. When you board, you don't scan a barcode anymore. You stand in front of a camera, it compares your face to your passport data or customs record, and if the system is satisfied, the gate opens. I had a passenger recently, Mrs. Higgins, who was deeply uncomfortable with technology. When she reached the biometric gate, she froze. She looked down, adjusted her scarf, and instinctively tried to hide her face. The system timed out. That alone triggered a security alert. Once the biometric system flags a failure, the gate agent often can't fix it themselves. The computer locks them out until a supervisor arrives. Mrs. Higgins stood there for 15 long minutes while the line behind her groaned and people muttered. She made the flight, but she was shaking and too upset to eat. Airlines say biometric boarding is about security, but the real reason is speed and data. A machine can board 30 passengers a minute. A human can board 12. Faster boarding means faster turnarounds and more profit. Your face has become a barcode. I know many of you don't like that idea, and you do have the right to opt out, but you must do it correctly, or you'll end up flagged instead of protected. Never wait until you're standing in front of the camera to object. That makes you look disruptive and suspicious. Instead, approach the gate podium 10 minutes before boarding begins. Say calmly, "I am opting out of biometric screening today. I would like a manual ID check, please." Those words matter. Manual ID check is the legal phrase. Have your passport open to the photo page and ready in your hand. The agent may sigh or look annoyed, but they will process you manually. You may have to wait briefly to the side while the biometric flow pauses. Accept that. It's the cost of privacy, and it's far better than triggering an alarm. The next change affects your physical safety, and it's one of the hardest adjustments for long-time travelers. For years, the fasten seatbelt sign felt optional when the ride was smooth. That is no longer true. In 2026, due to a sharp rise in clear air turbulence linked to climate shifts, regulators have imposed strict rules. If that light is on and you stand up, we must order you to sit down. If you ignore us and get hurt, the airline carries no liability. We aren't being harsh, we are protecting our jobs and your life. A few months ago, on a transatlantic flight, the air felt perfectly calm. The captain turned the sign on because his radar showed turbulence ahead. A man in his 60s decided he couldn't wait for the restroom. He stood up anyway. Within seconds, the plane dropped hundreds of feet. He struck the ceiling, fell, and broke his hip. The flight diverted, his recovery will take months, and he received no compensation because he ignored instructions. As we age, our bones don't forgive falls the way they once did. Clear air turbulence gives no warning. You can't see it coming. That's why we wake you to check your seatbelt, even when it feels cruel. If you want uninterrupted rest, buckle the belt snugly over your blanket. Leave the silver clasp visible. When I walk the aisle with a flashlight at 3 a.m. and see that buckle, I keep moving. You stay asleep and protected. Now let's talk honestly about bladder needs. If the pilot announces descent, go immediately. Once we begin descending, that light stays on until the gate, and I cannot let you up, even in an emergency. Plan ahead. This is one of the quiet realities of modern aviation, and I hate it, but pretending it isn't real puts you at risk. Another painful change is happening quietly at customer service desks. Airlines have stripped gate agents of rebooking power. Those smaller podiums you see, they're intentional. Human empathy slowed profits, so it was removed. During a snowstorm in Chicago last month, I watched an older couple stand in line for 2 hours, only to be told to scan a QR code or call an 800 number. While they waited, a college student used the app and grabbed the last seats out. Standing in line is now a financial risk. Inventory disappears every minute you wait. You may dislike smartphones, but in disruptions, they are weapons. Download the Airline app before you travel. Save your credit card. When a cancellation happens, the rebook button often appears in the app before announcements are made. Secure the seat first. Ask questions later. And here's an insider trick. Don't call the US customer service line. Call the airline's English language office in places like Singapore or the UK. Call volume is lower, and agents use the same system. I've seen rebookings completed in minutes this way while US lines were frozen for hours. Now we reach the part that has been quietly draining wallets and causing panic at gates across the world, especially for travelers who have done everything right for decades. This is about your luggage, your money, and the digital traps airlines have built so that one small innocent habit turns into a very expensive mistake. I need you focused here because this is where the system is least forgiving and most profitable for them. Airlines have introduced something called the Smart Sizer, and if you are still using a soft shell suitcase with an expandable zipper, this machine is not your friend. For years, we had those old metal cages at the gate. If your bag was a little puffy, a kind agent might wave you through. Those days are gone. The Smart Sizer uses lasers. It doesn't care if your bag is soft, squishy, or sentimental. It measures depth in real time. Most carry-on limits are 9 inches deep. The moment you unzip that expansion panel to squeeze in a sweater or gifts for the grandkids, your bag becomes 11 inches deep. The laser sees it instantly. No argument, no negotiation. The screen turns red or the agent's tablet pings and you are done. I met a woman last week, Mrs. Lee, traveling with the same fabric roller she's used for 10 years. It was her lucky bag. She had filled the front pockets and used the expansion zipper just a little. The machine flagged her. The agent said, "The bag is oversized. That will be $75 to gate check it." Mrs. Lee said what everyone says, "But it's soft. I can squish it." The agent pointed to the screen and replied, "The machine says no." Her medication and CPAP adapter were buried inside. She spent the entire flight anxious and uncomfortable because her bag was 1 inch too deep. Here is how you protect yourself. First, if you are buying new luggage, choose hard shell. Hard shell bags cannot bulge. If the zipper closes, it fits the laser. If it doesn't close, you know at home, not at the airport. Second, stop relying on the suitcase to compress your clothes. Use compression packing cubes. They remove air from clothing so the bag stays flat and within limits. Third, if you insist on using your old soft bag, tape the expansion zipper shut with painter's tape before you leave home. This prevents accidental overpacking and saves you from a surprise fee at the gate. Now we need to talk about something that has blindsided entire families: electronic travel authorizations. If you are American or Canadian, you grew up with a golden passport. You bought a ticket to Europe and just went. That era is over. In 2026, full enforcement of systems like Europe's ETS and the UK's ETA is in place. They are not called visas, but they function exactly like them. No approval, no boarding pass. The airline's computer checks your passport number against government databases before you even reach security. If there's no authorization on file, the system blocks you. The agent cannot override it. The captain cannot help you. I watched grandparents denied boarding for a family reunion in Italy because they assumed the parents handled the paperwork. The approval takes time. You cannot fix it at the counter. The rest of the family boarded while the grandparents went home, heartbroken. If you remember one rule, remember this: apply for these authorizations at least 1 month before travel, and only on official government websites. Ignore ads and third-party sites that charge 10 times the fee. When you receive approval, print it and keep it in your passport. Systems fail, paper doesn't. Another silent danger is your medication. Those neat plastic pill organizers are convenient, but internationally they are a problem. Border agents are cracking down on unidentified pills because of counterfeit drugs. A loose pill without a labeled bottle can be confiscated, even if it's prescribed to you. I've seen travelers spend their first days abroad scrambling to find doctors because their heart medication was taken at the border. For international trips, carry original pharmacy bottles with your name and dosage. If space is tight, ask your pharmacist for an official medication list printout and keep it with your pills. If you take controlled substances, check the laws of your destination. A legal prescription at home can be illegal abroad. Now let's talk about money, because this is where confusion turns into permanent loss. There is a new refund rule that sounds consumer-friendly on paper, but is full of traps in practice. If an airline cancels your flight, you are entitled to a cash refund. But the law only applies if you reject alternative transportation and vouchers. Airlines know this. That's why the app or chatbot immediately offers you a voucher and a rebooked flight with a big accept button. If you click it, you have legally waived your right to cash. You signed away your protection with one tap. I had a grandfather click accept in panic when his flight to a graduation was canceled. The rebooked flight was 2 days later. He missed the event and couldn't get his money back. If your flight is canceled, do not click accept. Go to chat or an agent and say these words exactly: I reject the alternative transportation and the voucher. Under DOT regulations, I demand a full refund to my original form of payment. Those words matter. Once you cite DOT regulations and original form of payment, the system changes. The refund must be processed. Equally important is where you buy your ticket. In 2026, if you book through a third-party site, you are not the airline's customer. When things go wrong, airline agents often cannot help you. Their screen locks them out. During last year's massive outage, passengers who booked directly with airlines received hotels and food vouchers. Those who booked through discount sites were told to call a number with 12-hour hold times. Always book directly with the airline. The extra cost is insurance that allows a human to help you when everything falls apart. I also want to address 2 questions I hear constantly. First, Mila, I don't have a smartphone. Can I still travel? Yes, but you must trade convenience for preparation. Print everything. Arrive earlier. Expect slower processing. The paper path still exists, but it requires time. Second, is travel insurance worth it? In 2026, yes, but not for lost luggage. Buy it for medical evacuation. A fall abroad can cost tens of thousands of dollars to get you home. Medicare will not help you. One accident can erase a lifetime of savings. Choose a policy with strong medical evacuation coverage. I know this all feels overwhelming. It feels like the joy has been drained out of travel and replaced with scanners, fees, and rules that punish mistakes. I understand that grief. I feel it too. But here is the truth I want you to carry with you. You are not behind. You are not incapable. You are the generation that built modern travel. The system changed, not you. My name is Mila, and for years I've been your daughter in the sky. I made this video because I refuse to watch an algorithm humiliate you, separate you from medication, or steal your money because no one explained the new rules. Knowledge is power. Preparation is dignity. When you walk up to that smart gate knowing what to do, when you secure the seat you need, when you protect your finances and your health, you take your power back. Please share this with the person you travel with. You are a team. One wrong click or one outdated habit can affect both of you. Watch it together, talk about it, prepare together. Travel isn't over for you, it's just different now. And with the right knowledge, it can still be safe, joyful, and full of wonder. Travel smart, travel strong, and as always, I'll see you in the sky.